Oh dear God. Sorry guys, it's been a minute since I've made a video, done a review in general, but what an album to come back to. Today we're gonna be talking about the brand new Katy Perry album, 143, which is not good. It is not good at all, and I don't really know what people were expecting when the Single Woman's World was painfully uninteresting, very like surface level feminism that doesn't really give any substance to it, just kind of seems to be doing it as like a marketing gimmick, which I'm glad almost everyone kind of called it out for that. And when you look further into it, you see the continued work with Dr. Luke, which kind of throws a wrench into any real women's empowerment vibe for that song. And then you look further and you find out, oh, it's not just this song, it's almost every single song on the album, which I get it. She worked with him for most of her career, but if I was an artist and I had even done like an album with a guy who was implicated on some pretty bad stuff involving Kesha and what he did to her, you can kind of assume by my tone of voice what I'm implying. It's there to see if you somehow haven't heard of it. But I probably would not want to work with him again, and yet that's something Katy Perry has continued to do, is a hill she seems to want to die on. But it's not just that she's working with him, it's that she's trying to make an album with, kind of with a lot of the songs having like a vibe of like women's empowerment, mostly on Women's World, but in general that's really bad. That is like trying to make a movie on how exploitative movies are the Hollywood and the film industry is on women, of like trying to cast people and then forcing yourself on them, trying to get that. And then I give executive production to freaking Harvey Weinstein. It wouldn't make any sense. And that's really my entire thoughts on that. I could talk about Dr. Luke for the rest of this review, even though I really don't want to. But other than, him not being a good person, the only other thing I can say is not really a good producer, especially in recent years of it. It's not like he's one of these, like, a really amazing producers that, like, it's the risk of, the bad publicity and, the moral implications is outweighed by his technical ability, which, like, it's not like he's a bad producer, but, like, there's nothing really special about him that makes it worth it, and there's not really any that should be worth it, but you get my thoughts. So just boring, generic, can't really deviate his style from that 2000s or like early 2010 style that is getting outdone and not really that interesting anymore, especially with Katy Perry's recent run of things. But just to start off with, just songs is just very bland. Overall, I don't really know what she really wanted to do with this album. It just felt so uninteresting, trying to repeat this Y2K pop style that when other artists are doing it, the difference in why that is successful in this like dance pop style from like, the 2000s is they at least changed something of it. They added something like Charlie XCX, who has kind of reinvented herself with that. There's a dance pop style, obviously, of that. It's very reminiscent of an older style, but there's like house music of it. There's this EDM. There's electronic. It's mixing this all very well together and made a very good album. But then for Katy Perry, it's repeating the same stuff of it, but just putting a new name on it, and it's even more boring. She's trying to do a bit of trap by adding 21 Savage on the second song on the album, Gimme Gimme, which, honestly, once again, if you were trying to make an album, nothing really screams like that woman's empowerment. Like, I don't know, saying like, oh, I know you're on your period, but do you want to like give me some suck or something? Like, he's implying he wants head, but she's on his period. Like, that's just fucking weird. Like, it's not a good line. Even like if you break it down in like a lyrical sense of it, it's gross, it's corny, it doesn't make any sense. Really, like, her choice of artist she puts on this album and then trying to make it seem like something else, it just doesn't work. Like, even going later on the album, like the Knife song on this album, Artificial, features Jid. I love Jid. Jid's one of my favorite like rappers right now. And his verse like isn't necessarily bad. Like, it's a song called Artificial, and he's talking about like our like future with AI and like relationships and all that stuff, which is, kind of a common topic right now that people are talking about, it would be a good line in other songs, but it doesn't go anywhere on the album. Katy Perry doesn't take it anywhere, and it doesn't seem like it's actually like that prevalent on the song, honestly. Like it's being made like a very small deal over something that is an actual talking point. I just don't get it. I was also interested when I saw Deutsche was going to be on this album with I'm His, He's Mine, but it doesn't go really anywhere either. It's just not interesting. Like, that's the biggest issue is this entire album is just boring. And when I'm listening to an album that is a dance pop album, the last thing I want to be is bored with it or just like tired because I was listening to this and I was just like, it's so dumb. Uh, it's just not interesting of it. It seems like Katy Perry really can't evolve as an artist, is getting left behind, but is desperately trying to. And it's not like she's trying to recapture some nostalgia from like her early stuff. It's like she just literally has lost all the guts in her music. There's no emotion, there's nothing to it. It's just really trying to chase like any level of relevance that she can. And if you're looking at the success of the single woman's world, this album is not going to do good, and her fall off has been really bad on it. The only real saving grace I can give this album is it's not really that long relative to other albums. It's only 11 songs and 33 minutes and 34 seconds. So, you're going to get through it pretty fast. Like, there's, like, very few of the songs are actually, like, outright, like, awful, like, some of the worst I've heard this year. And this is definitely not one of the worst albums I've heard this year. It's just not interesting. Like, there's not really a song on here that's I would repeat. Even the JID feature isn't the most interesting. Like, it's an interesting concept, but it's just not. The whole of the song is, and I'm not going to base it based on the verse alone. It's just not good in that terms. I just don't get what really the plan. Like, there's no organization. There's no real planning of this album. It all just seems, I don't know, derivative of something, and then you just skin it. You just take the album, make a dance pop album, and then you skin it completely and say, this is the album we're going to have. And then you release it, and then you're going to be shocked that nobody likes it. And people are going to make fun of you. And going back to where I said, it's not that long. I know this album is at some point going to get a deluxe edition because it's going to help for the numbers of it. I just don't know what the real plan. It's going to get bloated. That would have been the thing that would have made this worse if it was just bloated. There was even more nothing to it. And then the last thing, which I'll say this as the only song on here that was somewhat okay, like I would still not repeat it, but it at least tried more, was Nirvana, in my opinion. I don't know, just kind of the more smoky sense of it, the very whispery instrumentation, vocals of it were kind of interesting. But overall, just still, it doesn't really matter. I feel nothing from this entire album, and with that, I'm gonna give it a 3. That's really all I can say for the album. That's Katy Perry's 143. Hope it's honestly the last album from her. As someone who enjoyed her music growing up, this is kind of just sad to see. I'm gonna be honest with you, but that's gonna be it from me. Bye.